So the fall of the US passport is here. And I tried to warn y'all. What's up, y'all? It's Kim, aka Kim with the Gems. And back in November, 11 months ago, November 22nd, and I'm going to bring my receipts. It's the divine spirit led me to have this conversation. And I just want you to take a listen to what I shared back in November, and then we'll talk about where we are now. But absolutely, child, we are in a rapid decline with the strength of our US passport, and no one sees a silver lining just yet. Hey, y'all, what's up? I am Kim, aka Kim with the Gems, and on this channel, we talk all things wellness, travel, and finance from a cultural perspective. Listen, we gonna make it do what it do. Everything. I may go in and out the screen, which was happening before. I don't know what's happening. I had to move the computer and all the things, but we're going to make it do what it do. And so I just want y'all to listen to the warning back in November about what was going on, and we'll get into where we are today. So let's just take a listen. So we talked about how Singapore is number one. And then let me try to slow this down a little because y'all know I listen at fast speed. So let me go ahead and start this again. Hold on 1 second. Let me refresh it. Maybe that's what I need to do. Oh. Okay, sorry. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at this ranking real quick. So we talked about how Singapore is number one. And then you see how many two-way ties, second place ties there are. Look at this. So in second place, you have Finland, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, South Korea, Spain, Australia, Denmark, Ireland, Luxembourg, Netherlands. Excuse me, I'm still going. It stopped at Spain for number two. So yeah, so all of those countries, let's just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 countries in second place. Let's go to third place. You have Austria, Denmark, Ireland, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, all in third place. So how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, we're not going to go through this entire list simply because we're going to go through the updated list. So let's just take us to where the United States was back on November 22nd of 2024. UK only down to number 4. We are at number 8 with all of these other countries ahead of us. So let's go to 5th place with 2 countries, Australia and Greece. Let's go to 6, 1 country, Poland. Let's go to 7, Canada, ahead of us. Czechia. Hungary, Malta are all in 7th place ahead of the US. And the US is here, 8th place. Okay, like I said, that was less than a year ago where I started sounding the alarm. And we're going to go over what this can actually mean for us as well. But we're going to review exactly where we are today. Whew. So what I wanted to do today, one, is to quickly go over the status of the US as it relates to where we are with rankings in US passports globally. Talk about the countries that moved ahead since the last report. Also, give a little bit of insight as to why the experts are saying this has happened. And then how will we be impacted as travelers, as global citizens? And you could go ahead and put your guess in the chat on how this could impact us. But let's just say it's just not good. It's going to cost more money, and we'll get into that. See, look at me jumping ahead. And then we're going to talk about the forecast for the U.S. and what that looks like. And then if you're thinking about residency in other countries, what does that mean? Is it a good time or is it a not so good time to take action, right? We like to stay ready so we don't have to get ready. So we're going to also talk about how we can prepare and what we should be doing now. So let's just do an overview, a summary for those of you who don't want to stay, who have someplace to go. I do want you to get this information because it is critical, it is important, it is beyond necessary for those of us who have passports or who want to get passports and travel the world. So overall, the drop of the US passport out of the top 10 for the first time ever since this ranking has been put in place, it indicates both decline in US travel mobility and a broader shift in global mobility. For most Americans, immediate day-to-day travel will not drastically be disrupted, right? If you're just going from, Atlanta to California, don't worry about it. But if you're going to some of the other countries that we talked about previously that now require more strict rules to enter, then you have to prepare for that. Also, if you are a remote worker, if you are a retiree, if you are what you like to maybe label yourself as a global citizen or someone who just loves to explore this beautiful world, it's actually a sign that we need to start planning proactively. We cannot be reactive. Okay, I'm not going to go off on a tangent tonight because we're starting late because of all the technical stuff. But you have to be proactive and you have to monitor the changes that are rapidly occurring. I want to say a couple weeks ago, but we need to. It is imperative that we start to diversify our options as it relates to global mobility, excuse me. And so this is another stay ready so you don't have to get ready conversation. I'm going to say hi to some people in a second, but put some gems in the chat if you were here. And I got to put this on my phone to make sure I'm not going in and out because I can't see the screen. But put in the chat if you were here back in 2024 where we had this conversation. The conversation was so important that I even sliced up the long live in order to create a smaller video clip so that more people would get the information. Because I know a lot of times when we go long on these lives, a lot of the information is not, being received because, we were going an hour and a half, 2 hours at times. So I get it, which is also why I encourage you, if you watch lives on the back end, speed up that replay. Do not watch that at 1.0. Child, if you could get it up to 2.0, go ahead. Trust you me, it's exactly what I do. But anyway, there was a reason. And so this report just came out a few days ago, the updated version, and basically the US now ranks first. Let me see who's the first person to put it in the chat. Oh, I see some of y'all were here way back in November of 2024 when we talked about this. Yes, and I'm gonna call y'all out in a second, but nope, Christine, close, but not quite. No, we ain't that bad just yet. We are not that bad just yet. And you know what? I may pull up the report so you can actually see. Yes, LJ. Ding a ding a ding ding ding. Miss bopping around the world right now. That's right. You definitely need to know these things so you can stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Again, just miraculous that in 2014, I think it was, or 2015, we were number one, tied with the UK as it relates to strength of passports. And for those of you that don't know, this ranking just simply means how many countries outside of your own will accept you or your citizens, right? The citizens of that country are allowed to enter without visas. And we used to, I think out of 193 countries, I think 190, when we were number one, allowed United States citizens to travel visa free. We are now at number 12. We are 12th in the ranking out of, now listen, it's better than being 190 or 185 or 100, right? But we are on a fast decline. To be pushed out of the top 10 says a lot. And again, there's duplication in that top 10 ranking. And so we can quickly go over just some of the countries that are ahead of us. And let's start with number one. Number one is Singapore. Number two is South Korea. Number three is Japan. Singapore, you can go to 193 destinations without needing a visa. 193 countries will let you in without you having to apply for a visa. That's a very strong passport. South Korea, 190, Japan, 189. There's a whole group of European countries, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg, Spain, Switzerland, all ranked number 5, being allowed into 188 countries. Excuse me, number 4. They're number 4. Number 5, Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Ireland, and the Netherlands, 187. Greece, Hungary, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, Sweden, number 6 with 186 destinations. Coming in, number 7 is Australia, Czech Republic, Malta, Poland, 185 destinations. Number 8 is Croatia. Now, just keep in mind, as I'm calling off these countries, they all have a stronger passport than the United States. Croatia, Estonia, Slovakia, Slovenia, United Arab Emirates, so you think Dubai, UAE, United Kingdom. Number 8 with countries that their citizens are allowed to enter. Canada, stronger than the US with 183 destinations. Number 10, Latvia, Liechtenstein, 182 destinations. And then US and Malaysia are at 180 destinations, ranking us 12th, tied for 12th. So within that time, the countries that moved, let's just talk about, we were number 1 in 2014. Many of the other countries that we just listed have improved, or at least maintained, while the US has drastically slipped. While Singapore, South Korea, and Japan dominate the top spots, their rise is relatively new compared to the dominance of US and Europe, which, you know, they came in kicking the door, waving the 4-4 and took the top spots. The UAE has climbed significantly into the top spot. If you go and look at the history, the UAE was not part of the top 10 for some time. Also, there's so much I want to get through without being here forever because we started late, but I do want to go over the reasons why. But let me say hi to some of y'all first, and then we'll get into the reasons, the main reasons why the US passport has seen a decline in their relative strength. And, you know, some of it is what you guys think. And then there's some things that may be a little different. And so let's go ahead and say, hey, Moni, thanks for coming back in, girl. It was a time. I got to figure some things out. Hi, Show About Nothing. Welcome back. Yes, number 1 spot, you got it, was Singapore. I think you put it in there. Hey, Pearl girl, too. Good to see you. Hey, Christine, welcome. Hi, Gringo in Guatemala. Hey, LJ. Yeah, and if you're already in here, go ahead, hit the like button. Hopefully, I may have to do this video over because I'm not loving the lighting and the lack of lighting and all of that. But go ahead, hit the like button. I do want as many people as possible to get this information who may not be paying attention to this information, and also get into understanding why these things happen and how we can be proactive, because again, the overall consensus is the US will not shoot back up unless there's some drastic changes that happen. So the main reasons that the strength of the passport has fallen, the US has lost visa-free entry privileges um, to certain countries. Some of them we covered already, like Brazil this year, Vietnam. Well, Vietnam is not, yeah, no, Vietnam, you need a visa, excuse me. Um, and other countries, we talked about the countries that are not calling it visas yet. They're like electronic authorizations, but they're working towards visas. So that's another reason why we know this number is going to drop, or we believe it's going to drop. But a lot of this is reciprocity, y'all. It's reciprocity. It's reciprocity to how other countries feel that we have treated them as far as their visa process, right? So we used to be able to flow wherever we wanted to go, right? No questions. We, came with our blue passport and just thought we was it, right? While other countries would have to jump through hoops, pay a whole lot of money. And as you see, that number is going to increase. And so a lot of these countries was like, hold up, wait a minute. This is turnabout is fair play, right? And so they started enhancing their visa process, which also generates income. And so when you see things like this happen, you can also see that global partnerships start to erode, for lack of a better term. The diplomacy that to be known for, our diplomatic relationships, those are waning. Um, Basically, you want other countries to look at you as friends and that you are not the big bully, right? And we have become like the big bully, right? And so as the US started to do stricter immigration for certain countries, these countries, like I said, it's all about now reciprocity. And excuse me, hopefully, I don't even want to give false hope. Let me just say this. If we can stay flat, that will be a good thing. But as we start to decline, that's when, you know, many of us will be stuck here. Let's just say that, because these fees, we talked about Brazil. Brazil is $80 visa. It doesn't matter if you go one time in the next 10 years or you go 45 times in the next 10 years. You have to pay that $80. And that's the same for other countries, which are now requiring not just, a $10 tax. Now you have to pay a fee to enter their country. And if it's just you, fine. But when you're talking about a group, then that's when those numbers become, prohibitive. And, what did they used to call the US? The US passport, like Americans were always known to have passport privilege, right? For anyone who's traveled globally, even as a Black person or a person of color, anyone who heard or knew that you had a blue passport, you were not treated the same as Black and brown people from other countries. Passport privilege is a real thing. And many of us have enjoyed that. Like the treatment, phenomenal. What happens when that passport privilege starts to wane? How will we then be treated? And that goes into, how, we can be impacted, which is the next topic. So Americans will still be able to enjoy high mobility, right? 180 destinations is still a big number, right? Most of us will not travel to all those places. But the countries that used to some countries who used to give us high scores as it relates to passport privileges may no longer do so. And when it comes to the gold standard, that's the phrase I was trying to think of. When it comes to the gold standard, we may now start to see, gold mixed with a little silver standard. I'm not going to say silver standard, right? We're definitely not bronze, but we are being diluted as it relates to passport privileges. Some citizens may feel less confident when it comes to getting visa-free access in other countries, worrying about being declined. So now you have to get approved before you book that trip in a lot of cases. Well, in more cases, I won't say a lot because we still have 180 countries where this right now doesn't apply. But you used to be able to just confidently go online, see a good super fair saver, super saver fare, and go ahead and book. But now you got to do some research and you got to hope and pray that once you apply for the visa, you can get approved. There were so many countries that used to allow American citizens to get visas upon arrival. That number is waning. And so again, there becomes more anxiety surrounding travel. Let me see what y'all are saying because I can't see. Oh, hey, New Beginnings. Good to see you. You're watching when Kim had the call. Oh, you were there. Yes, that was way back. Can you believe 11 months? 11 months. Oh, and just a reminder, we are having our 1 year celebration on the YouTubes. We're having it in the Flawless family. We're having it all the places. And there will be an announcement coming out this week. So stay tuned to the community tab. But on November 10th, we are having our 1 year party. And so I'm looking forward. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, we're going to have a party. So I look forward to that. And so let me see if there's any questions, go ahead and put a Q in front of it. I see Cece wants to know, do I recommend dual citizenship? I always recommend dual citizenship if you can get it. It's not an easy thing to get in most situations for Americans that don't have any lineage or familial relations in other countries. But yeah, absolutely. The more citizenships you have, the absolute better, especially in these times. So I don't see any more questions. So let's just get back into what that can mean as it relates to getting either citizenship or residency in other countries. Now is the time. And listen, I want us to get on the same boat that they're on. I really do, because many of us are not, but they are. When these type of declines start to happen, Americans start to look more seriously at obtaining second passports or residencies in other countries, especially if global mobility is a high priority for you. And for anyone that I talk to that can make that happen, it should be a high priority. Even if it's not for you, for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids, it should be a high priority. And guess what? they are doing it. Others are doing it in high numbers. So, reports are already indicating and showing that there is rising interest in alternative citizenships and residencies among Americans. Now, this is literally facts, but I promise you one thing: while the number may be going up, right, like this for interest, our number is not doing that. And when I say our, I'm talking about mostly Black and Brown Americans. We are living in happily in status quo, blissfully ignorant, right? Not saying stupid, but blissfully ignorant to what this could potentially mean if our numbers continue to drop. And as they start to look more into alternative mobility, right? When we finally decide, oh, maybe we should too, that's when the rules change. That's when the bottlenecks happen. That's when it becomes more challenging and more difficult for it to get done. And so, let me take 20 seconds out for my little commercial break. I promise you, whenever there's anything created in this community as part of the Gym Nation, it is based on things that I've talked about December, November, January, 8, 9, 10, 11 months ago. And upcoming this Saturday, we'll have the Brunch and Learn series, Brunch and Learn workshop, where we'll be talking to multiple women who have gone through this journey to have global mobility. And the beautiful thing about the selection of women that are going to be part of this panel, answering all of your questions in real time. If you can't make it live, there will be a replay, so you can also join that. But the beautiful thing is they're at different stages. Every one of us are at different stages in our lives. So we have Jacqueline, who legally got residency for her and her entire family of 10. They're not at retirement age, but they were able to successfully find a way to get residency. And, we're not talking millionaires. We're not talking people who have, a gazillion dollars. We are talking everyday Americans who found a way. Then we'll have LJ, who's a single mom of a neurodivergent child. And I'm saying this with my whole chest. Anyone that has children, and then add the asterisk, neurodivergent, autistic, should be preparing just in case, right? Should have an alternative, because we talked about how much money was Homeland Security and ICE given in this bill. We haven't even begun to see what's about to be unleashed. So again, then there's me. Decided, options equals freedom. The process of how you can start your process now in getting Mexican residency before things really change. And then there's Andrea, who's also going to add a spin about medical tourism. You could catch her live that we did last week, where she talks about how she was able to offset cost by 75% by traveling outside of the US to get her medical procedure done. And this is after tons of research, but that 75% offset, meaning she only paid 25% of what she had been quoted here in the US, included her travel, included her lodging, included the transportation to and from the facility. So if you're interested in literally, like, God makes no mistakes. Listen, when I saw this ranking, I wanted to come on sooner, but I just traveled back on Friday and then caught a little travel bug. But as soon as I felt up to it, I was like, I got to talk to my peoples, because this is no joke. And I think that for those of us who, understand and get it, and I sure hope I am still being okay. Yeah, I see my face now, because those of us who get it will, take take some action. I am actually going to quickly put the link for anyone who wants to join. Again, it's Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And go to bit.ly, have another plan, or have another option, and you can read more about it. And it's our brunch and learn workshop. And the reason why I think this workshop is so beautiful is because a lot of times when we do research online, we're left trying to figure out who we can ask next, right? Who we can ask questions to. After each one of these beautiful women present the tips, the tricks, the lessons they learned, the how much it'll cost, all the things, you will have real live access. So you can go ahead and prepare your questions ahead of time. If they answer the questions during the presentation, fine. You still have time to ask more questions. And so again, listen, I truly can, I'm just so thankful that, you know, all of this stuff was put in me when it was. And I look forward to seeing everyone. If you signed up already, you got a link as soon as you register. So as soon as you completed registration, there's a Zoom link that you receive. And again, we're starting 10 o'clock a.m. on time. Okay, now let's get back to the U.S. passport and what that can mean. And again, I don't want this to be like a fear mongering, like the passport is dead or anything like that. Because again, for right now, for most travelers, there will be nothing critical or dynamic that will change for you during your travels right now. But that's right now. We went from November of last year being 7th to October of this year being ranked number 12. So if we continue on that decline, right? Just think about it. If let's just say we drop the same amount. So what's that? 5 spots? We'll be 17th. And then we'll be what, 22nd? And then we'll be 27th. Like just we don't know how far we'll drop and how quickly that will happen, but it can happen. And the longer you wait to understand this, and if you're not understanding anything I'm saying, go research someplace else. I just want you to understand that these are changes that are real, and people outside of our communities get it. Not everyone. I'm not saying everyone outside of our communities, but there are many outside of our communities that get it. And so what is the forecast? What could potentially happen? Well, most bets are saying there will be a potential downward, trend, and the lack of reciprocity is getting stronger versus weakening. So, barring any changes with our leadership and being willing to play nice, the US may continue to slip and remain outside of the top 10, which used to be a coveted position. Unless the US becomes more reciprocal and open, most experts are predicting that this existing gap will continue and strengthen in the downward direction. Now, there are people who are hopeful that we may stay flat. The leaders at the top decide that they want to play nice, and remove some of the restrictions that are seemed excessive for other countries, then we may see us pretty much staying flat for the next year or so. But countries in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East are actively boosting their credentials. They are doing things, right? They are making sure that they are shaking the hands and making things simpler for travelers versus more difficult. So yeah, the first 1 to 3 years, they say likely the US will remain outside of the top 10. possibly the 15 range within the next year, unless there are significant policy or diplomatic shifts. So the experts are predicting us to go or wane in between the like 11 to 15 range, but within 3 years, we can definitely see a significant shift. Their expectation is that within the next 5 years, even if we see some increase, it will not get us to like the top 5 spot. It's going to take a long time for us to get back. Unless everything was like the band-aid was ripped off and everything was wiped clean, we are still going to be well below that number 1 spot for at least the next 5 years. And so again, they're saying that if you are a US citizen seeking legal residency in other countries and want travel freedoms globally, you may want to start looking for second citizenships or residency abroad because of these following reasons. Right now, we are not a risk, right? We're not deemed a risk as citizens when we apply for these things. But the lower we go down this ranking, then there's risk factors that become involved. Also, when you talk about residency for investments, which a lot of people do to bypass a lot of the bureaucracy, if you have an extra few $100,000 laying around, there are ways that you can invest in other countries and expedite your citizenship and or your residency. And with that happening, with our numbers going down, the numbers for investment may go up. So I hope you understood that. As our numbers, as we become weaker as a country with our passports, other countries may look at the opportunity there and say, you know what? This is our time to really, capitalize on these citizens and only take the ones that can afford to invest at a higher level. But right now, we're not at that stage. These are potential forecasting. And some countries may seriously tighten their residency and citizens programs if the demand from US citizens increase, which is already happening. We talked about this since November and December of last year too. As the demand is supply and demand, right? If only 100 people were, coming to your store on Saturday and you were not selling out, right? Then all of a sudden, the word gets out and people are like, oh, they have the best of whatever it is that you're selling. Nobody else has what they're having. I need to get that for whatever reason. Now you have 1,000 people coming to your store every Saturday, but you have the same amount of supply. Then the only thing you can do really to manage, right, is increase that price, sell out quicker, but not lose any money. And that was an off the cuff example, but think of that store as a country. Why would they continue? Why would any country continue to offer easy access at low fees when the demand skyrockets, which it's happening? It's happening. And so, again, impact on residency approval is this passport getting weaker. They're going to think of other options for mobility, and those numbers in those other places are going to increase. And so what should we be on the lookout for? Let me see what time. Oh, we are 39 minutes. Perfect. We're 39 minutes, and then we're going to see if there's any questions, and then get back to business. So there are certain things that the US citizens should be on the lookout for And one is all the changes in visa free access, right? For passport holders, like keep track of what countries are revoking or adding visa free access or e-visa access for Americans. So we talked about Brazil, Vietnam, UK, right? UK now you have to get electronic visa authorization to enter. And then we also talked about other European countries that are adding that as well. So keep track. Also, any shifts in US policy around visa waivers bilaterally, like set Google alerts, right? Set Google alerts, passport changes, visa changes, like simple, broad terms, so that whenever there's a news story or some breaking news that happens, you'll be alerted. Like you don't want to not know if your goal is to have options. Also, I just want to make sure I get the most important. For Americans considering living abroad or obtaining a second passport, keep tabs on changes in tax, immigration, and residency rules, because those are the things that can definitely affect your decision to be able to leave. So what are the taxes going to look like? Those may change in other countries as well as our country. I know there's some things that are being talked about, right? So pay attention to that. What new immigration rules are they going to implement, and what residency rules will they implement, or what changes can occur or may possibly occur, excuse me. Also, what the costs are, because again, some countries may be something simple, right? $25, $20, whatever. Other countries may be $80. And not that that's an exorbitant amount, but again, take a family of 10, take a family of 5, that's $400. And so pay attention to how the prices will affect your plans. And so, yeah, just regularly check the destinations that you're interested in, visiting and or moving to. Also, keep a contingency plan, right? If one country does something that is against whatever it is that you had planned and it's prohibitive now, or you don't like what's happening, have a contingency plan. What's your plan B? What's a alternative destination that you may be interested in? You have to be nimble. You have to be flexible. I say start now, because again, we're a year into when I first started talking about this, and we have dropped 5 points, 5 spaces within a year. That's a lot. That is a lot if you think about where we have been over the years. Also, monitor US policy changes affecting travel and mobility, right? Not just the other countries you want to know. You want to know what the US is saying. So if the US may now charge a visa integrity fee, or you have to put some money down to make sure you leave the country, and that country currently doesn't have something in place that's reciprocal, that is your ding, 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 that there may be some reciprocity about to occur. So if that country that you've just found out is now being required to do more than they had to do before, and their citizens are allowed to or going to have to pay more, then you could also expect some reciprocity from these other countries. And make sure your passport is valid, y'all. Listen, I can't overstate that. I've been singing this song from the high heavens since we first started, but make sure not only is it valid, but it's valid for a substantial amount of time. So if you're less than 6 months, you should already have applied, right, for renewals. But if you're at a year, go ahead and get that application in. I don't know what the delays are looking like with the shutdown, but go ahead and get that. get that in. So again, this tonight was really just to go over the fact that, listen, the US passport has fallen out of the sky. The strength of the US passport has fallen out of the top 10 ranking globally. And that is nothing to sneeze at. It will have lots of consequences and repercussions about. But as we say here, as long as we stay ready, we won't have to get ready. And so, again, I encourage you to find a way to stay connected to these news stories, to make sure that there are notifications that you get if you are interested. And I know so many people who watch this channel are interested in options, in global mobility, right? And even if you're not trying to leave today or tomorrow, you want the option to be able to, if you want to, or if you have to. So I don't see, yes, full chest, LJ. Yes, Andrea definitely has plenty of gems to drop. I am super excited about Saturday's conversation. I'm going to try to find a way to, I always put things out there and then have to do them, but I'm bringing more people on from other countries as well. And if you register for this session, you'll have access to that session. But we don't want to be, this is not going to be a, full day. It's going to be 3 hours, giving you the best roadmap for you to proceed, right? The best roadmap for you to walk away from that conversation with action steps that you can immediately start on before the rules change. And so I'm excited about the countries that we're covering. I'm excited about everyone's personal journey to get residency, and or like LJ is legally, dealing with visa processes and bopping around the world, and what that's going to look like for her and her son. And so even with these medical, the good thing about visas right now in most countries, if you're going for medical procedures, they have a visa for that, right? So depending on what country you're going to, they're all different types of rules and regulations. But again, listen, I didn't think that we would drop 5 points and be pushed out of the top 10 spot for the first time ever. But again, as someone who's been traveling for many, many years, as somebody who's been in the travel business for many, many years, passport privilege is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, child. It is a beautiful thing. When I was in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, the type of service, care, and that's a lot of places. And so, again, I don't want that to go away. I do not want that to go away. But the more options you have, the more legal options that you have, the better it is. So rather you're a solo individual, rather you're married, married with children, single mom, sandwich generation, mom with children and grandchildren, maybe losing your job and want plans about medical health care abroad for a fraction of a cost, I'll see you Saturday. And again, if you're in here and you already signed up, you already got the link. If you're in the RAIN Society, you got an email from me today. You got did I include that link? Well, I told you I was sending you a link. One of the two, you got an email from me today. And so, yeah, and if you can't make it live, go ahead and sign up, catch the replays. You'll have access later to everyone who's speaking. I'm super excited again about Saturday. Sad about the rapid decline of this US passport, y'all. But, I'm staying ready. I'm going to have global mobility, period, point blank. And so I'm looking forward to hearing more about the Panama conversation, because that is on the list of additional legal residencies that I want to collect. So anyway, thank you, everyone. Hit the like button. If you're not part of the Gym Nation, go ahead, subscribe. Just hit the subscribe button. You will be part of the Gym Nation. It's free. That's all you got to do. We have other ways for you to interact. They should be in the description. This is really more about prioritizing what's going on now, like the breaking news that's going on now, and making sure that we stay ready so we don't have to get ready by having other options. And you can do that by learning more at the workshop on Saturday. And so everyone, I hope you have a great night. I don't know what's going on with my technical, so I'm going to have to dig deeper on that. I will be in DC this weekend. So hopefully the Wi-Fi will be amazing. So anyway, thank you one. Thank you all, Gym Nation. We'll talk soon. Have a good night, everyone. Take care.